Thank you very much. And also from my side, a warm welcome to this call today on finance and administration and our matching grant fund projects. Very happy that you could all make time today, and I'm very excited to present this topic. I want to give you a quick overview over the agenda. So we will start with a quick review of the contract format, but just for your reference, basically, and we'll then directly jump into payments and reporting. That I give you a few infos about that. Then we will go to the accounting principles for the contract, and then we will discuss next steps. So after each of these sections, we will have a quick question and answer round. So I hope that we can do it like this, that it's a bit more interactive and I'm not just talking for 1.5 hours straight. So this will be hopefully working out. And the French session has worked very well this morning. If time allows, we will have another question and answer session at the end, but this morning we finished right on time, so it was quite exact. So let's see how it goes now. As Veronica has already indicated, the session will be recorded and you can download the recording and the presentation in the login section afterwards. So without further ado, let's jump into the topic. And as I said, the first thing I wanted to do is to remind you about the contract format. So the principal contract format that we use in this call is the so-called IDPP, the Integrated Development Partnership with the Private Sector. There are two different options how an IDPP can be concluded. One is an implementation agreement, and this is the one where most of your contracts are also in, or a cooperation agreement. The big difference is that in an implementation agreement, there is money flow and the implementation partner, meaning your company, is the one responsible for the project and also for the fund management. Whereas in a cooperation agreement, there's no money flow between the two and each is responsible of their own implementation in the end. A third form that we have that is not normally with the private sector, but is a normal form of contract in GIZ, and we also use it here in some cases, is the local subsidy. So there has some specific rules that are not necessarily the same as in the IDPP, but very similar. And in case there is a difference, I will mention this in this call as well. Generally, everything I present to you is based on the IDPP and also on the implementation agreement where there is money flow. However, the accounting principles are valid for everybody, so it doesn't matter which contract type you fall under. Generally, quickly on the IDPP, it is important to note that this is really a joint and formalized project between GIZ and one or more private companies, and we pursue a shared goal together. And this goal benefits a third group, the target group. So this is really the important part. It's a joint project. However, implementation responsibility lies with the partner. And they're also where the idea is coming from, as you know. So that was the quick recap on the contract, and we will start directly with payments and reporting. So you've all seen in your contracts the so-called payment plan. And we have now, as you can see, it consists of the anticipated date, payment, the cumulated amount, and also if there's an audit on interim settlement that is needed. You might have noticed that yours looks a bit different. The reason for that is that we had, during the time of contracting, a slight change in the contract format within our company. So some have a little bit different, but in the end, it says the same. So it's basically just a formulation. The old template, it asks in the last column if there's an audit necessary or not. And then some of you only have the no, no, yes, no, yes. This means that everywhere where there's a no, there's still a financial report needed. And where there's a yes, there's additionally an audit needed. In this case, with the newer contracts, we have it like we have it here, that you need an interim settlement, and sometimes you need an interim settlement and the audit. The rule is the same for everybody. Everybody always needs to hand in an interim settlement for the next advance payment. But let's start in the beginning. So we have two groups with the reporting dates. As we have basically seen that there were some contracts who were concluded pretty early on and some contracts who have been concluded quite late or are still in the process of being concluded right now. Therefore, we have two reporting dates that we would like to stick to. And you will see that you are either in the first or the second one. but we try to accumulate it to make our life a bit easier, so we can keep an overview who still needs an advance payment, etc. So that will help us all, I think, in the end. As you can see also in this payment plan, it's in euros. I know this is not the case in yours, as this is always in local currency, but I just wanted to make an example here. As I said, most of you who have already concluded the contract have also received the advanced payment. And the advanced payment, the first one, is paid just upon signature of the contract, if you are eligible for the advanced payment. Some contracts show that you don't have the advanced payment, but the reimbursement as first, which will mean that you would finance the first half of the year of the contract. You would finance yourself and we will reimburse to you, but the further payments would still be advanced. This is just a precautionary measure that for some we have to do this, and it's mostly coming from the country office that they are a bit more cautious in that sense. From the second payment onwards, you will always need an interim settlement before we can pay out in advance, meaning you have to hand in after 6 months the first financial report. I will come to what it entails a bit later. And then afterwards, you can also hand in, or with it together, you can hand in the request for advance payment. And when the financial report is checked, we will pay the advance payment. For the third and fifth payment, in the case of a 2-year contract, you have to hand in as well a financial report, but also a certified audit. So you need to have the invoice certified by an audit company, and also all your books will be checked by an audit, but also to the audit we will come a bit later. I think that's also all that is there. Yes. So, no, one important thing still. If you want to adapt the payment plan, but you will stick with the total amount, we can do this, but not on the dates necessarily. Where we can have adaptation is the anticipated payment. So if you see now that you want to have, for example, a bigger procurement in the next batch, then you can ask via email if we can adapt the payment plan a bit and have a bigger advance payment next, but we will then reduce another advance payment later on. So this is possible, and you have to ask for it via email, but there's no contract change needed for it. Just when we change the total amount, we will have a contract change that will be needed. Exactly. So let's go to the request for advance payment and how we will proceed. What I already mentioned a bit before. Payments are made according to clause 8.3 of the contract. And for that one, you always have to hand in the annex request for advance payment that you all have in the contract to the respective country office in original. Sadly, GIZ is not that far yet when it comes to digitalization. However, it would be great and of great help to us as well to have a scan for us for reference, because we can then follow up easier with the country office. For interim payments, so everything that comes after the first advance payment, additionally, you have to submit the following documents: the list of costs. Please let me know if you don't have it yet, because we have all of them, but not all country offices have sent them. So please, if you don't have it yet, just reach out and we can provide it for you. The progress report, and also the request for advance payment. And this is latest due 6 weeks after the relevant reporting date. So this is really the latest option to hand it in. For payments that require an audit, additionally to what you have to hand in for interims payments, you would have to hand in a public auditor's report, as you can see in section 8.5 of the contract, the invoice for the costs certified by the auditor, where you clear basically the amounts of the previous advance payments, and then also the auditor's invoice for the submission of the audit report. So all of this has to be handed in order to receive then the fourth payment, yes, exactly, and also for the final report. Coming to the financial report, as I said before, it's an obligatory semi-annual reporting to GIZ in order to receive the further payments. And each budget line in this financial report may be exceeded by 10% or at most 2,500 euros per budget line at the exchange rate that is currently applicable. if the total budget remains the same. So if you exceed a budget line by, let's say, 9%, this amount of money has to be reduced in another budget line. Otherwise, we cannot do it like this. If more, we need to approve it, and then there will also be a contract amendment. With a contract amendment, you might also add new budget lines that you have not planned for yet, but not without one. And what is very important is that the lead applicant is the one who reports on all costs occurred by the lead applicants themselves, but also by the consortia partners. So the lead applicant is really the one who is responsible for the finances. So you will report of all the costs. So also all the rules that we have, they apply to everybody and to the whole project. And it's to the consortia partners, lead applicant, and also the funds that GIZ provides. And as I said before, the document needs a list of costs, and especially with the audit, the invoice, which is the billing template. To get the billing template, you can get it on this on the website, on the official GIZ website, if you have not gotten it with the annexes. And I've put the link in here, and as I said, you can download the presentation so you can follow easily. It is then the billing form for contractually agreed billing. Exactly. When you hand in the financial report, we kindly ask you to hand it in a scan first to your focal person. So as you know, every one of you has already started the projects. You have one focal person in our team who will be responsible for you. And this is the person who should get the report as well. However, please keep the following people as well in CC. So Veronica and Bernard, because they are part of the coordination team of MGF and they need to have an overview of what comes in and have to remind people and everything. And then additionally, also myself and Memona, we are the finance managers of the project. And since we are the one following up on all of this, you will definitely, it will help you a lot when we are in CC as well. So please, when you send it to your focal person plus us four in CC. And as I said before, I also want to cover the audit. And just as a general information, annual audits of the project related, annual audits of the project are agreed upon, and the costs for that are already budgeted in the budget that we have provided or that you have provided to us. The advantage of that is that no original vouchers have to be sent to GIZ office for the financial processing. There might be that we ask for some copies of vouchers or similar, but you do not need to send the originals. They will all stay with your company, which is very practical. So the audit basically takes care of the checking if everything is going well with the funds. The only difference is if you have a local subsidy, because then there is no audit. So in that case, we still have to hand in all the original vouchers to the respective GIZ country office. There are some exceptional cases where the original vouchers instead of an audit report are to be sent to the country office. But in our case, as far as I know, we don't have any of these cases in our contracts. So I think we are good on that side. When it comes to selecting the public auditor, it is important that the private company, so you can choose your auditor freely. So you have the choice of all the auditors in your area. If they're publicly certified, you can use them. However, and this is very important, before you contract them, after having 3 offers, you need to inform us, and only upon approval from our side, you can actually have the contract with them. The reason for that is that before you can conclude a contract, we have to see if this auditor is maybe likely to be blacklisted by GIZ or similar. That is the reason we have to do this. So please, before you contract actually the public auditor, get our approval before. The binding terms of references have been provided to you with the annexes, and they have to be used to get the contract basically. So when you want to get the orders, you have to use these TOR to get this so the auditor knows exactly what they are checking on. Everybody uses the same thing, so it's then a benchmark, and we can compare between the projects, etc. Yes, exactly. And there are some exceptional cases where the GIZ office says that they want to choose the auditing firm, but it's very exceptional. And for now, I don't think we have that case, but something might always be happening. And then as a final point in this part, I want to talk about the contract amendment. So the contract amendment is necessary for you. So if we want to change it, if you have a change in your project concept, so if your project changes the idea, basically, you need to hand in a request for a contract amendment. Also, if you want to change the full contract value, that is not necessarily foreseen from our side, but due to, for example, exchange rate or similar, there might be reasons why we have that. So if you want to change the contract value, there also a contract amendment is needed. If you want to exchange the personnel that is on the price sheet, you also have to do a contract amendment. However, we did a little trick here. And when we have the whole personal concept filled with NN instead of the people before, we can do this without a contract amendment, and it can be done via email. So this is why you will see in all of your contracts that all of the budgets are mentioning NN in the positions except instead of the names. So it will be easier if something happens, if we need to exchange somebody, it will be easier. We don't have to do necessarily a contract amendment. However, this entails one other step that I will come to in the next section. Additionally, you need a contract amendment if a single cost position changes above 10%, so that you really need. And also if you want to change the duration of the IDPP contract. There's some variability there for cost neutral amendments. However, we try to stick to the timeline, of course, as much as possible. And as I said before, contract amendment is not necessary if you only have a change in a budget line that is below 10% and that can be offset with another budget line. And also if the payment plan is changed cost neutrally. So if you just want to have more in the next one, but then less in a later following one. There you don't need contract amendments. And with that, I would conclude the first section. And yes, I would open the floor. I give back to Veronika first, but open the floor for questions for the first part before we follow with the accounting principles.
Thank you, Anja. I think that was very, very clear so far, but I have already seen a few questions in the chat, so maybe we jump into those quickly because it can be easily responded. While I know a lot of you are having a lot of questions in your hand, so let's just start with the simple one. So when we are talking about a voucher, are you referring to a proof of payment? Maybe just quickly. I wrote a response in the chat, and but just it's better if it comes from you directly, as you're the one who is familiar with all the formalities. Anja, please.
So yes, vouchers are in some cases proof of payments, but it depends on what you're referring to. Vouchers can also be the contract, the pay slips for your salaries, for example, the invoices for procurement that you had. So basically vouchers, we refer to everything that is a receipt in your bookkeeping.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes it easier. So everything is receipt in your bookkeeping is it's a voucher, and of course we are referring to just a comment from my side. We are referring to all these vouchers that are specifically allocated and purposely linked to our project here, the IDPP project. So yeah, great. Then the floor is open. I think we can hear from you if you have any questions from what has been presented so far. Yes, Mr. Laban Otieno, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much once again, guys. I'm meeting you again. I have one question that I may require some clarification on the contract amendment of personnel. You find that we did a contract with some personnel, but then there has been a move, some have left. So do I get their CVs again and send, or will this amount to changing of the contract? Maybe you explain it once again, Anya. I didn't get it very well because in our case, we have some personnel who have transited and we have a new one. So what do we do in this case? Thank you.
All right. Yes, so I will come to that also again with the next part. However, I can already say to that, so for now, we have concluded all the contracts with the personal concept, including the NN, meaning that there's no name for a position yet. This allows us to not have a contract amendment when the personal concept changes. So for now, the only thing you have to stick to is the positions that you have named in the budget, not the people. As soon as you have handed in the CVs, so what you will do now, the next step, and some of you have already done it, I know, but just for your information, the next step after signature is once review the personal concept, send us the current one with the positions filled and the name who is filling the position and the current CV. You send that once via email to the focal point and also to the MGF team. And then we have this in our books, and that will then be the basis for the cost to be eligible. So you can still have changes in your personal concept before that, and especially the names, not the positions, as I said, and then it is all fine. So if something has changed now, I don't think that we will need a contract amendment in your case.
Thank you, Anya. I hope that's okay. I think then we can move on to the next person. Liz, I see the name Liz. Please come in.
Yeah, I had this question. There's this part where you said about the budget line, why it can be extended by either plus or 10%. And now in line with that, I wanted to say that if there's something that is not explicitly stated in your budget line, but you need to buy it, but it is within it, can you still buy it? For example, let me give you an example. For example, like you have this list of like maybe like equipments, and you need to buy something additional, but it fits within the budget, but it was not like listed in the initial budget, but it still fits. Can you still buy it?
Please inform us via email and let us know. But yes, you can buy it as soon as you don't come over the 10% in the budget line. This is always fine. And then you have to offset it in another budget line. At best, you also report on it in your first financial report, because then it will be set in our books as well. So then you will see all of it. But it is possible, yes. But especially with equipment, always be sure that you will either hand it over or you put it to depreciation, but we'll come to that again.
All right.
Thank you. Exactly. I think what is very clear, communication is key. I think in any case, it's good to write an email about any kind of changes that were not agreed in the contract, and we can support you whether or not it needs a full contract amendment, or this is a very clear alternative we try to have, is to have a written documentation of the changes. So it's good to communicate it via email when it happens. But as Anya said, it's most important, of course, to have it in the reports that are due, and it's explained also well. You have the financial report, you have the narrative report, so you have multiple opportunities to explain that in there as well. Yes, I have also seen a question in the chat. I had the same question, where we need a person but not a position. but now it's clear. Okay, yes, so we are focusing in the project implementation on positions and not necessarily for persons. I see still a hand up from Laban. Is it an old hand or you have a new question?
Sorry. It is not a new one. Let me
Okay.
pull down my hand.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Just wanted to make sure that we are, yeah, we have everybody in line. I've seen also another question in the chat. Do you get allocated a focal person when you sign the contract? So maybe I allow myself to answer yes. So we foreseen that in each project that it will be a dedicated focal person that is supporting you in backstopping you from ABF side. And this person is named in the contract. So when you sign the contract, you will see on page, I have to see, I think page 3 or 4. Yes, I think it's a section, maybe you can help me. In somewhere in the beginning where section 4, yes, section 4 of the contract, you see the dedicated person from your end, of course, and you see also the dedicated person who, in this case, we name it focal person, who is supporting the project from ABF side. So please, if you're not sure, contact us. Yeah, this can be clarified quickly. Okay, then any further questions on this section? Everybody is very excited to continue with the next one. I think we can, yes, accounting principles. Yay, that's very important, and I think very much linked to what the question towards the questions that we already had. So Anya, please kindly continue, and I'm sure there will be more questions to come.
Yeah, thank you very much. So exactly as Veronica said, we are going to the accounting principles now. And before we come to each point directly, I just wanted to remind you on eligible cost. I think all of you know this because you've all done your budget and it is based on the eligibility of cost. However, nevertheless, I wanted to just remind you on it. So only direct costs with no markups can be covered in this project. And the cost, and this is very much important, needs to occur within the contract term. So nothing can be pre-financed. It has to occur before after the contract was signed. Otherwise, we cannot reimburse it or cover it with this project with the advance payment. I'm sorry for that one, but it is definitely a hard line in GIZ. Eligible costs are remuneration for your company's own employees, the fees for external experts, travel expenses, air tickets, cost of materials and equipment, cost of capital goods in some sense, and other costs. So we will go into each of these categories once in the next couple of slides, so we will get more information on it. Nevertheless, I want to remind you also on ineligible costs that exist. So generally, the core business of the company can only be financed after the review of the project concept and on a case-by-case basis only, meaning not all things that benefit your company, but not necessarily the target group can be financed in this project. We have done this assessment though, so I think we are all good. Nevertheless, just a reminder on that. Also, the research and development for new products cannot be financed in this project. That will only further your company and not necessarily the target group. What cannot be financed are also direct business subsidies, the business export assistance, venture capital measures, low interest loans, or also feasibility studies as the project content, since we're already assuming that you know that your project will be feasible before you hand it in. So these are the things that cannot be covered. There's some examples. There's of course a bit more, but these examples are quite handy, I think. Coming now to the categories. So first of all, we're talking about staff cost. So staff cost mean the remuneration for your company's own employees or also just the personal cost at prime level at prime cost level. So this means it includes the employer gross, the social security contributions, and seasonal bonuses. You see then that it basically is an average that you will account for each month, and you account for it for 100% position with your with your pay slip, exactly. And if you have people working on the project only in percentages, you can also do that. You will also account with the pay slip. However, you will also have to have timesheets. So you will have to let the person know that they have to note that, to write down all of the times that they have worked for the project. And this will be the other voucher, basically, that we will have. That is the eligibility for this, the basis for the eligibility of this cost. After the signature of the contract, this is what I explained a bit earlier before, please send an email with the updated staff concept, so with all the names that you want to have and the positions, so basically all the positions now filled with names, and all updated CVs to that moment to your focal person with the financial focal person in CC. To make it easy, you can just take the MGF team in CC and we will be safe with that one. However, this will then serve as the basis that the cost will be eligible in the reports. So if you have not done so yet, please, after signature of the contract, do that. So we have it then in our project file and we can have it eligible afterwards. So as I said, the updated CVs have to be provided. And it must be company stuff. So it cannot be anybody else. It has to be either the lead applicant stuff or the consortia partner stuff. Additionally, we have external service providers. And the big difference here is that while we work at prime cost level for the staff, we work here at market price level. So there can be other things included, or for example, markups also in there. However, for that one to be eligible, you have to have 3 offers for each position. And then in theory, you choose the most economical offer. I know that most of you have already chosen external service providers you want to work with, or you've already identified or have an idea who you want to work with. Most likely you can do all of this with a simple justification, meaning even though it might not be the most economical option, you can still justify the choice because they are an expert in their field. You have, for example, in case of FBS training, if you want to do it, we already have a list and we already have pre-selected trainers that you can use. So there are always justifications that are relevant here and that can be used. Nevertheless, the 3 offers have to be there, or this certification has to be very, very good in terms of not having 3 offers. The 3 offers need to be there from at least 1,000 euros onwards, though. So if you buy anything, if you have a service provider that is lower than 1,000 euros, don't worry about it. You can just hire them on a one-offer basis. For local subsidy, it's a bit different. Here, the boundary is already 500 euros. So there you have to be a bit more diligent with the offers still. These 3 offers do not have to be presented to GIZ. We don't need to see the offers. We just need to know who you chose in the end. However, please keep them because the audit will follow up on it. So we will need to see it somehow, even though we don't see it personally. And generally, the same rule also applies to the audit, where we also need 3 offers to justify the choice of an auditor. However, as I already said before, you can only go ahead here with the contract when you get the approval from GIZ. So before that, it's not working out. Next, travel expenses and air tickets. So eligible, they are eligible at maximum tax rates, but they really should not exceed the GIZ lump sum standard rates in the respected country as applicable at the date of signing the agreement. This information can be given upon request. However, we have already included this in the budgets that you have given us, or that we have provided to you now. So already the country offices have checked on that in the budgets, and most likely it is already at the maximum level that you have there. So you don't have to worry about it that much. If there's still something that worries you, please reach out, but I think you should be fine. Only economy class tickets are eligible, and this doesn't only count for you, this also counts for our team, so don't worry about that. However, you can't have premium economy and you can't have business class, sadly. Sorry about that, but this is the only thing that we do here. And yes, just as I said, the travel expenses are according to local regulation. Next part is the material and equipment. And I think most of you have already received this email from me where I asked, who do you hand over the equipment to at the end of the project? Because this is a necessity that comes from the fact that we are operating here with taxpayers' money. We cannot support the private sector with it. So if we want to, or we can, but only in certain extent, it has to also have a public benefit goal. So in that sense, everything that we finance to 100% has to be given over to a public benefit company or the communities, for example. And you have to decide on that who you want to hand it over to. So this is basically only for the fact if you have 100% financing. If you have less, you can put it to the depreciation. So then we'd only account for some part of the procurement. However, you can keep it afterwards in the company. So there are some advantages or disadvantages to both sides, and you should just know which one you want to choose. For equipment, there's also some extra rules, like it should not necessarily be higher than 50,000 euros if it takes another round in our company where we have to get approval. And I can only say from experience, this takes also a long time again. So this is where we try to keep it below 50,000 euros and also below 30% of the contract usually. If you want to procure livestock, the explanation on how to guarantee the animal welfare has to be handed in. So additional to normally only the invoice, for example, you also have to have this explanation given to GIZ due to German regulations. And then the same rule applies as to external service providers. If it's higher than 1,000 euros, at least 3 offers have to be obtained. And same thing for local subsidies, 500 euros. When the equipment is procured 100% in this contract and you hand it over to a public partner, please document this handing over in writing. This is very much important and also has to be handed in to us. And finally, we have the other costs section. Other costs basically covers everything, but also it includes especially training costs in our case. So this means all costs related to training for smallholder farmers. For example, the venue, the transport, the printing, the per diems for participants if they are agreed upon, etc. pp. All of this is included in other costs, and most likely it's already specified in your budget. Also, if you have any expenses related to pilot tests or demo plots, this will also be found in the other costs. Cost of the audit are here, can be found here, and at the maximum of 3,500 euros per audit. And please, for a 2-year project, plan for 2 audits. In case of or if you only have 1-year project, then only 1 audit will be needed because it's annual. However, most of you have 2 years, so 2 audits, so please plan accordingly. Additionally, you also have the project-related operating costs, for example, the office rent. And finally, you also have the depreciation of capital goods and equipment. As I said before, the depreciation can be taken here, and then you can keep the equipment or the capital good in your company afterwards. For depreciation, we have generally given you a 20% per year, so meaning 40% in total, for a 5-year depreciation plan. However, if there are rules that don't allow you in your country to do this like this, please listen to the rules and observe the depreciation regulations in your own country. If that's the case, please let us know so we can maybe adapt the budget as well. So just a quick example for depreciation of a maize processing machine. So let's say it was 10,000 euro to begin with, and it is purchased within the project phase, so it's a new machine. and it is 100% used for the project. The amortization period is 5 years, so the depreciation rate is 20%. That means you can account for 2,000 euros each year in your reporting, meaning for 4,000 out of the 10,000 euros in the reporting. Last but not least, an important point that we really want to underline here is that for each training and every workshop and everywhere where you have guests, please have signed attendance sheets. So you always have to have an attendance sheet, and they always have to be signed by everybody who was there to make the cost eligible for these people, especially when it comes to per diems. You need it every time, but per diems, this is really the only voucher that counts. So please, please have it with every training that you do. We also have to do it all the time, so we know it's a bit stressful, but it is very, very important. Then keep them in your books, and the audit will check whether or not it's needed, it's there or not. Exactly. So with that, we would be at the end of the accounting principles, and I would ask again if there are any questions.
So exactly, I think there's no further questions in the chat yet, but I think that again were very important information. And now I see also hands being raised. So I would go directly to Godfred, because that's a new hand. So I'm sure that is something new. And then we'll come back to the two others if there's anything, new questions arise. Godfred, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to find out, do you have a reporting format for interim reporting?
Yes, if that was the question, yes, we have reporting templates for interim reporting. We have different reports to be submitted. It has been provided also in the contract, the list of templates that you need to submit for interim report and also for the final. What is maybe from my side important to highlight, we have a interim report for, let's say, considering the narrative part. So we have a template for that. It has been shared with you at the sign of at the moment of signature. However, we of course you will receive a reminder to your focal person about this template. And all the templates actually. So we have another document, it's called data collection sheet, where we collect data. And since we are here on the finance and admin webinar, there is also a reporting template for finance, but I hand over to Anya also maybe just to explain briefly, yeah, what does it mean? Mm-hmm.
Yep, this one is the list of costs. The list of costs is generated from the budget that you handed in. It's one of the macros that is working. That's why we have to work with this macro heavy document, sadly. So, but this will allow us to generate it from there. And if you don't have it with your contract annexes, because usually it should be provided with the annexes. If not, please let us know, because we have all of them and we can send it to you. But normally it is sent with the annexes. You're still on mute, Veronica.
Yes, sorry. Maybe the keyword here is list of costs, right? That's how it's called. And it's exactly, so that's one we should all remember of. So that's list of costs serves as a reporting document for the financial part. Any further questions from Godfred, or otherwise I would go to ask. Of course, in the meantime, you can raise your hand or ask questions also in the chat if you think that's more convenient for you. I see Liz, your hand is up. If it's still up, or a new hand or an old hand, please give us a signal. Or
sorry, it was up,
yes.
but no, no, not
anymore.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then I still see Lavan, still her hand is new or old. Can you give us a signal?
Yeah, this is a new one.
Okay, please.
And
Yes.
I have a specific question on audits.
Mhm.
So are we doing the project specific audit, or the audit is for the entire organization so that we have a separation? Thank you.
Thank you for this very important
So-
question. Yes, please, Anya. Yes.
You do the audit on the whole project, meaning you don't have to do it for the whole organization. However, you need to audit everything that is concerning this project, meaning not only the GIZ part, but also your contribution and your consortia partners' contribution. But you don't have to audit the whole organization for it. But maybe it comes in handy to do both at the same time.
No, that is noted.
Great.
Yes, I
Veronika?
think according to the contract, we also requested for audited balance sheets at the end of the year. I think if you regularly anyway do that, as Anya said, it is an additional report that shows us, gives us confidence that things are going well. So yeah, it's not on the project, but it's the audited balance sheet that we'll be happy to receive from your end. I see a new hand from Lucky. Please, the floor is yours. Happy to receive your question.
Thank you very much for the wonderful presentations. I just wanted to clarity if I got the response from Anja right. So on the auditing, we are auditing the contribution by GIZ, but also what the private company is matching with. I just wanted to be clear on that.
Yes. Yes, exactly that one.
Okay.
So you're auditing the private part of the project, but also the GIZ part of the project.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
This is one of maybe just to come in also with a comment here. So this is why it is helpful to have a separate bank account or a sub account where you handle the project costs, and then this can be used for also financial monitoring later on. I see also a new hand from Royce Zulu. Please come in. I'm happy to see new names in the chat. Welcome.
Thank you very much for the presentation. My question is, you mentioned of the machineries that have been purchased by GIZ on 100%. Then you want to contribute it after the project, they have to be contributed to the public. My question is, the public, can it be any person from your company or the consortium or the general public? And what does it attract any fee when you are doing the contribution of the machinery?
Thank you for the question. Important one. I think it's helpful for others to hear also the response from Anya, please.
Yes, so just a quick clarification before we come to who the public actually is. It will never be 100% purchased by GIZ, but it will always be the contribution of GIZ will be 100%, but it will always be at most 50% purchased by GIZ because we share all the budget lines between the private part and the GIZ part, as you know. So just I wanted to clarify that there's no misunderstanding with anybody. Then who the public is. So this means we need to have a public benefit partner. This is, for example, a ministry that you're working with. This can be a publicly registered cooperative you're working with. This can be the chief of a community that you're working with, if he gives it then also to the community and not keeps it to himself. These are all options that you have to work with where you can hand it over. It can also be, if you know, for example, a public benefit organization that works on grassroots levels again. That can also be it, but it cannot be a single person. It cannot be another private company, and yeah, the public benefit is still in the focus here.
And yes, we should definitely get this information. That's also very important. We need to know, as Jia said, who you will hand over the equipment to. And also, if I remember correctly, Anya, there is even a formal documentation of this handing over at some point. Yeah. So that will be exactly. So this will be formally documented as well, and will be part of your reporting. I see a question maybe that can be quickly answered from the chat before we go back to the floor and take questions also from the room. So there was a question in the chat on travel expenses. Are travel expenses only valid for project staff, or travel expenses for external experts can be included as well? That's maybe quickly to answer, Anya.
Yes, they can be included as well to the same regulations that we account for the staff.
Exactly. So any project-related travels, also for the external experts, can be included. And then maybe quickly also the next one, when will the accounting period start? I think that's rather easy to answer. Anya, please.
With the signature of the contract.
Exactly. Good. With the signature of the contract, the accounting period is starting. I have seen two hands, please. Mr. Pierre Leroux, come in for your question. Yes.
Thank you, Veronica. My question really goes back to the previous question. We were told quite early on in the year that the contract has been awarded and we're waiting for signature of the documents. The project we're working on is time sensitive. We're growing plants and we can't stop them growing until we've signed the contract. So we had to continue regardless. So does that mean any costs for training trips and equipment and material that we've spent up to now before the signature of the contract is not eligible for refunding?
Sadly, this is the case, yes, because we cannot provide anything before contract signature. I understand, and I also know that your case is especially difficult currently with the signature. I mean, we've been in contact quite a lot, but yes, I know this is a problem, and we can look for options to somehow set this off. However, we cannot account for the cost itself. It is sadly not possible because everything that is from before the signature of the contract, it's simply not eligible, and we cannot make everybody account for it in this company. I'm sorry. I know this is not the answer that is the best one.
Thank you, Anya. Exactly. So the date of all the vouchers, all the invoices, all the receipts of the payment must be within the period of the contract. Of the contract period, within the contract period. Exactly. Ruth Wangui.
Maybe before that, what might be an option still is, however, having it basically as an in-kind input from the project side later on. So basically, when you see, okay, the trees have grown now, you can use them basically in kind, account for them from the private sector part, and then everything that is bought newly there, we can maybe account for it. But we will have to see how to manage that one. But there are maybe some options, but this really depends on a case by case.
Thank you, Anya, for this addition. Yes. Ruth Wangui, please come in.
Thank you very much for the program. I'm asking if we have all the required templates in the list, for example, billing template, invoicing, payment schedules, and data collection sheet that is very standard according to our project.
I don't know. I had some problems understanding you because you've cut out. Maybe, Veronica, you got it?
I understood that was referring about the reporting templates, but I wasn't sure what the question actually got. Can you repeat? Yes.
Billing template, invoicing, payment schedules, and data collecting sheets that we are supposed to report with.
Yes,
Correct.
exactly.
Correct.
No, I'm requesting if we have them in the link.
I didn't get that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I understood that it's maybe referring to the templates itself, how to get them or where to find them. Not sure if it's. I did not get it also fully.
Maybe Ruth, would you mind texting in the chat what your question is, and we try to answer it like this? Maybe that helps.
Well, it helps also with the
So
bandwidth.
sorry about the connection.
If you quickly turn off the camera, maybe it helps also with the bandwidth to repeat it again without the camera. Okay, then we wait then for the.
No, I'm asking.
Yes.
If there is the billing template. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Billing
Definitely,
template.
yes.
Invoicing, payment schedules for that we use for paying the people during the meeting, and data collecting sheets. I provided them in the link. We have the standardized.
I didn't.
Now the line is cutting. Now it's feel like it's even worse. Now line
I'm
is
so
cutting.
sorry. Maybe you try texting it in the chat.
What I understood, if we are providing those templates, it's what it's about.
Yeah, I understood this part also, but there was further question into it. So please,
So if it's the
you
question, if we're providing it, yes, we are providing it. That's definitely the answer.
Yes, we are providing it. Okay. Exactly. You will receive all the information on the reporting templates and the reporting guidelines from the focal persons. So you will be informed about that one. Daniel Bakari, please come in.
Thanks, Veronica. I wanted to maybe sort of rejoin from what Ruth was asking, but in a different way.
Okay.
Is it because I think what she's asking if implementers can develop their own template of payment? I think this is the question. Or we have a standardized payment, like the one that Anya, you were talking about in terms of signed list of attendance. I think we can institutions can develop them by themselves. I think this was the question.
Okay, so for the reporting schedule, etc., like for our reporting sheets, we have standards and they have to be followed. So this cannot be developed by yourself. We also have an example for a signature sheet. However, you can use your own. That is not necessarily the one, but we can provide you with an example so that you know what to follow. But generally, in these cases, you can use whatever you need as long as you have the name indicated, the organization, and the signature.
Thank you. I think I also received feedback in the chat that it's very clear. Yeah. Very good. And hopefully that has been clarified for a few others in the meeting.
Any other question? If not, I would go to next steps.
Yeah, I would say also let's go to next steps.
Okay.
Because now you have the homework. Yay.
Exactly. Yay. Like in school.
Anya.
So yes, exactly. What we have now prepared for you is just for your own understanding and also for us a bit to have an overview. We prepared a quiz that you can follow with about the contents of today. And you can follow either the QR code that is shown here or the link that Veronica has also posted in the chat right now, and kindly facilitate the participation of everybody who was here today, because it really helps, I think, and it's just like a revision of today. And if you pass the quiz, we will award you with a certificate of attendance and completion of the finance and administrative procedures of MGF contract. So this is also quite a nice thing. You will receive the quiz here, but we can also send it again afterwards via email to the focal people. And the deadline for the quiz will be the 20th of November, so in 3 weeks' time from today. And after these 3 weeks, you will also receive the correct answers. Until then, the quiz is open. Afterwards, it's closed. And yes, we would be very happy if you would attend this quiz and if you would just go through it again, have a quick revision of what we've talked about today. And as I said before, we will share the recording and the presentation of today with you very soon via the login section that you have already been provided for the documents of the full proposal. Last but not least, what I wanted to inform you about is that we are also planning to have a financial support contracted with for these contracts. So this means that GIZ is paying for a consulting company basically who's coming in to support you on your reporting and especially also on the auditing. With that one, we want to avoid a lot of problems, and we also think that it will be very helpful for you and also for us if we have them. They also have travel budget then and can come to everybody. We hope to have them on board today already, but sadly the country office is not on our side in that case. However, as soon as we have them, we will inform everybody, and we will also do emails with the presentation of the company so you can reach out at any point. We hope to get a company that is already very experienced with GIZ procedures so that they exactly know what to do and you can come to them for each question. However, also generally, you can always reach out to us for every question. You have our email addresses, so please feel free. And there's never a stupid question. So please, if you're unsure about something, please reach out. Rather ask twice than we have it wrong in the end, and then there we have a bigger problem at the end. So yes, this is basically the next steps. And then the first reporting period for some of you already is soon. However, most English-speaking ones I know have been a bit later on, so there it will follow a bit later on with the first reporting period. So yes, this would be it for now. So thank you very much. However, if there's still questions, since we still have time, we can also answer some questions still.
Exactly. As you have seen, we have quite a hard, I have a homework for you. So your homework would be to review the presentation that was shared by Anya, but also you will have the opportunity to review, of course, the live recording of this event. And of course, you have an opportunity to ask questions at any point of time to our team. Don't hesitate to do so. It's also important to agree on certain things in a written way. So email exchanges will anyway keep happening. So I want to encourage you to do that. I must say I have done this quiz, and I was also peeking into the presentation to find some answers. So to be very transparent with you, it's not an easy topic. It's always good to keep all these helpful guidelines and documents next to you when you are working in the project. And this will help really to guide you in a right way. So yes, thank you for listening so far. And if in case there is further questions, you can come in and we can use the remaining 20 minutes also to answer some of your questions directly. If there's any questions that are very specific to your contract, it may be better to do it later bilaterally. But if there's anything that is more generic, please come in. And yes, I have seen also, thank you for the good presentation. Yes, so already congratulations to Anya for the presentation. But I see a hand from Lavan Otieno, please come in.
Thank you very much. I am also congratulating you for the good presentation. But then there is one question which I think works for everyone. This is about accounting for contribution in kind. So how do we, now that the project has started in our case, or most cases, but how do we now document and account for our donation or our contribution in kind? So this is something that I would want to know. And number two is whether we can take a certain item of activity funded fully by GIZ, then the private company also takes another activity and does it wholesomely. Is that acceptable as long as the overall contribution is 50-50? So can we pick an activity, we run away with it, and we leave for GIZ another activity, but as long as we balance so that we have a ratio 1-to-1? Thank you.
Thank you. Two very important questions.
I'll start.
Yes, Anya.
Yep, sorry. I'll start with the second one. So sadly, this is not possible. This is the case of a cooperation agreement. In a cooperation agreement, this is exactly that one. So you will have 50% and 50%, for example, and then GIZ will have some activities that we will basically facilitate, and then the private sector has the facilities that they will facilitate, but there is no money flow. So there's really just the activities that are agreed on. In the case that there is money flow, sadly, we have to differentiate each budget line, which also makes it difficult with in kind. Exactly, that is what the first question is about. So in kind, it really is a case-by-case decision what you want to have in kind. Most likely we will estimate a value to it and then we put it in the contract, but please, for that one, reach out to us again via email so we can have the exact one indicated in the accounting as well, so that we don't make any mistakes here. So that would be highly appreciated if you could just send another email and we will then figure out the details for your case. Yes, I hope this helped already at least a bit.
Yes, is that okay as a
makes sense?
Okay. I wanted to check if that's fine with you, because it's a complex question. And yeah, as you said, it can be related to many of you. Yes, I have more hands coming up. Lucky, please, first, and then Nasibu Saidi afterwards. Lucky.
Okay, thank you very much for presentation. I just have a small question, or rather the clarity. Do we have the standard reporting date? What I simply mean, maybe 30th, everyone has to report on that date, or maybe each and every organization can have its reporting date. Thank you.
Yes, we have two reporting dates that are standardized. So we have two groups basically of reporting dates, the early one and the bit later one. And you will find the reporting date in your contract in once in the payment plan and in the Annex 5A or 9A, depends which contract format you have, the one with the reporting schedule. So we'll always know when to hand in the reporting.
Exactly. So it's also a matter of coordination from our side. So we try to make it standardized for a certain group of matching grant fund partners. So this is why we have tried to harmonize the reporting dates as much as possible. You will be also reminded of these dates by the focal person. You will receive a reminder. The reporting date is due soon and this date, and this will be, of course, facilitate then the work. And yes, for the next payment, as Anya already presented, the next payment will be, of course, dependent on that report. So we cannot approve the further interim advance payments or reimbursements if the reports are not presented. Yes, That's I wanted to add. And Nasibu Saidi, please, floor is yours.
Maybe
Okay, thank you
perfect,
very
yeah.
much.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you very much. My question, are we required to open separate units in our accounting software? As we know, cost of the project are shared between GIZ and the private part. So do we require to open the unit cost in our accounting software for GIZ party only, or also for the private part? The second question was about the issue of accounts, of bank accounts. If there is money flow in case of buying equipment, okay, for example, do we need to open a separate account for the private company to show to keep our account correctly, or we can use the same company account to show there's money flow between the project and the private parts? That was my question.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So yes, you need to open a separate bank account or at least a separate sub account of your bank account. So this is one of the two options that you have, but this is needed, and they will also communicate that in the contract with you. When it comes to the separate unit in the accounting system, honestly, I don't know for sure, but I think this is not the case. It's not in the contract, definitely. So this just depends on your accounting system, how it works. So if your internal accounting system is working on a project basis, then yes, I would open it as a recommendation. But if it works differently, it doesn't have to be in the accounting system separate from the rest, because it is part of your company as well. We understand that one. But the bank account, that is a must.
Yes, thank you. Then I think, lucky it was an old hand, or there is a new one. But I see, Nasibu, you raised your hand again, so maybe there's a follow-up question.
Hello, it's the first one which I raised, but maybe I can come in again. Following the last speaker, he asked you about opening another account. So I'm not clear whether you mean we need to open another account for this project, or maybe we can use the same account which you are using for our daily businesses, or maybe we can open an account, new account for specifically for this project. I need the clarity on that one. I didn't hear you clear.
New account for this project, either a full new account or a sub account in your account that you already have, but it needs to be separated. I hope this was clear.
Okay, noted. It's clear now.
Great.
Thank you. So everybody is ready to. Yes, Nasibu. Yes, if there is.
Okay, thank you.
Follow-up.
My question on the bank account for the GIZ party, it is clear that we need a separate bank account. What about the private company if there is money flow? Should they open a separate bank account, or they can use the normal account which they use in their normal business operations? That was my question.
So basically, if the payments that are coming for everything from the, so I guess this is I need to inform myself, actually. So good question.
We will come back to you.
We will come back to you on that, I think, but I think only the GIZ part has to be on the separate account and everything else does not. But I will clarify that with the contract department again and come back to you to be 100% sure.
Yes, so when we send out the documentation of, or like the presentation and the video, like the recording to you, then maybe we just state this response also clearly. Yeah, exactly, because GIZ contribution is up to 50%. So if private sector contribution comes from different bank accounts, that would be good to know what that means. Yes. So this will not be part of the quiz. This is a tricky question, so we left this question out for now. But I hope things are becoming more clear for you throughout this presentation. I see Minnie, you raise your hand. Please, if you want to come in and you have maybe a response. So, yes.
Yes, I can just answer concerning only the local subsidy is a different account. Yes, for the local subsidies, for sure, it's a different account. Now, for the other one, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you, Minnie. So, exactly. That is very clear. I see Memona, you raised your hand. Please, I also allow you to present yourself briefly so everybody can see you and your face if you want to turn on your camera, because they are everybody in this meeting possibly have been in touch with you or will be in touch with you in the future. So please, everyone, Memona Martin, also a finance manager in Agri-Business Facility for Africa. Please come in.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to comment on the sub account. So not only the private contribution has to be posted on this sub account, but also our GIZ contribution. So all the contribution that is relating our project has to be on this one bank account so that we can oversee all the expenses and everything that comes in.
Okay.
So not only your contribution, but also our contribution. That's what I wanted to clarify. And you can also read that again in our guideline for eligible costs. In financial processing. There you have a part where this is indicated. And I can also just put the screenshot so you can have a look at it again. And then this is it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Memona.
Thank you. Exactly. This document that is 7 pages only, actually not that long, contains all the important information that you need to know, and has been also part of the annexes of the contract. So I hope, hopefully also you have received it. And even from the beginning when we did the competition still, we have shared this guideline with you. So it was never a secret. So please, in case you have any questions or any hesitations or you're not sure about, please come back to us. So I also see that Memona has posted the important section from these guidelines in the chat. And so now we can take this question up in the quiz. No, I'm just joking. I think you have learned something new, and I'm really thankful for my colleagues that are coming in also with the clarifications. Thank you, Memona. And if there's any further questions, I see still a hand up from Lucky, but I don't see more questions from the chat. So maybe we can conclude early, because I know for some of you it's quite late. So I'm very glad that so many of you were so patient in this call and listening and being very enthusiastic about this very important topic about finance and administration. This is really the backbone of our work here, and everything comes to the technical part. We fully trust you, and we know very well that you are the best project managers for the projects that you are implementing. So we are very grateful that you took time today to really learn about all these rules and regulations we have in GIZ. And I hope that it will be of benefit for you and for your work, not only within this project that you are doing now, but hopefully also for the future. So thank you for your time and wish you also a lot of success in the implementation, the way forward. And yes, please stay in touch, and yes, keep exchanging with us and with the focal persons that you have as supporting persons. Thank you also for Anya, for my colleague, who has been very vigorous today. Also, it's the second presentation. We have done the same also in French. So it took a lot of energy to prepare this. So congratulations for the very clear presentation from Anya and Mamona, from both of you. And yes, you deserve all the claps. And yes, hope this will help you in the future. And as we hopefully progressing with the hiring this consulting that Anya referred to, we will inform you about this as well. So we will have potentially further support coming in on demand, and you can also reach out to these to use this supporting opportunities. And I see a danke in the chat. Yes, so many of you now learning German. Very good. It's not necessarily to know German for this, but definitely, yes, we stay in touch. I've seen also, well, Vanuatu is in the call. Thank you for coming.
I also wanted to mention, so Sandrine, I'm impressed you made it. I think it's in the middle of the night, so thanks.
Yes, probably 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. I have no idea about the time. It's very confusing. We have this daylight saving time in Germany, so it's we always change the clock. But yes, we will be in touch. Thank you again. And 2:24 a.m. now. Oh, wow. That's impressive. And thank you so much for staying with us so late. And yes, you will have the recording also very soon. And you can also look back to that wonderful presentation that we will share with you. And please do not forget to fill out the quiz, because you can get a certificate at the end. You can also share it in your within your colleagues who are working on finance or admin, who are willing to fill out these questions, because it is really a good signal to us that it was well understood. It's helpful for you what we have presented so far. And yes, you will get a shiny certificate, at least virtually, and then maybe at some point in person. So yeah, thank you for your time, and thank you for listening. I'm wishing you all the best.
Thanks a
Take
lot.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good day further.
Bye-bye.